Perfect. Perfect. This meeting is being recorded. Glad we remembered that because we would like to be able to summarize. Also, yeah, we're going to be sending out a summary of the highlights here of this meeting. So this is a beautiful team, our panel present today. So again, I introduced Stacy. We have Cosette, Richard Parham, and Micah Watterson on the team. And yeah, if you guys could mute, that would be excellent. And
if you have a question or something to say.
Yeah, question, and also we'll be monitoring the chat box here. So just to get a feel of the agenda today, why don't you tell us what we're gonna be doing, Stacy?
Yeah, so we had some welcome and introductions. Thank you for everyone that's here, both virtually as well as here in person who's able to make it. We're gonna spend some time talking about state of the market and get a really good, thorough understanding of what's happening and some helpful resources that you can refer to for additional information. We're also going to be talking about what the agents are seeing on the buy side, what that looks like, why it looks the way it does, as well as some great thorough information from our lenders. And we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. And then we even have a raffle to wrap us up.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. So stay to the end. And I just want to make sure if there's anybody else to admit we are watching that. Give me 1 second.
One person that's called in, if they could mute on that line?
Oh yeah, if you guys, there is somebody unmuting that needs to mute, please. Let's see if we can. Yeah.
1404-520-7773.
Okay, so there we are, recording, monitor chat box, and please mute yourself. Okay, I just want to make sure you are monitoring if someone needs to be admitted, because I have a few people.
So there's nothing that I can do from here because
Okay.
I'm logged in on your.
Okay, well, we'll check that in just a minute. Okay, so state of the market. We're going to be talking about what's driving the market, where we are right now, what we're seeing. The only way to really project what's going to happen in the future is looking at today's trends and yesterday's trends and sort of seeing what stacks up to create what we might call a seller's market or a buyer's market. And so we can read signs. Now, we're not going to say that we're going to predict the future. We can't always know exactly what in the past and the driving factors. We're going to be able to analyze those with some projections. And I got to see who needs to mute here. Bear with me just for a minute. Oh, it's, hold on 1 second, guys. Let me just check here really quick. Oh, this
Richard's iPad, Juliet.
Richard's iPad. I'm going to mute it right now. I think I just muted it. Richard, yeah. Okay. Good job, Larry. You are muted. It was not Larry. I'm just kidding. Okay. So I think we got it now. Thank you. Okay, Judy, while we do this, if you could just make sure there's. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's the backdrop here for what's happening, where are we at and why?
Yeah, so thanks, Juliet. So with our COVID-19 vaccinations, what we have is a graph of what was happening in April of this year. We were at over 141 million have at least received at least one shot. Over 95 million are fully vaccinated. That's a little over 40% of the entire population for our country vaccinated. So what we're seeing is a lot more safety. A lot of people are feeling much better about moving around, able to move around, and that makes a big impact on real estate too.
Yeah, and I believe we're just a few days away from full opening here in California. So we're very excited about that. So if you guys were following the projections and the state of the market that we have been, basically the factors that we've been watching very closely over the last year and a half have been the unemployment. So we went going into COVID, it was the best it could ever be, really. It was 3-4% unemployment rate, which is, doesn't get much better than that. It means everybody has a job that wants a job, a few people moving around here and there. And then we saw this trend where it was a complete drop off. And that was a little scary. I think we all remember what that felt like. But the sector that was hit the most was who?
Was our hospitality and we've got and leisure and hospitality.
So leisure and hospitality, when we saw the sectors broken up for the unemployment, there were certain sectors that were really hit the hardest. And yes, it was leisure and hospitality. So the next slide, we're really happy to show you.
Is actually the exact sector that is recovering the most.
Yep.
So that's both of them are actually kind of showing very similar information. Where it was hit hardest is actually where the recovery is.
Yeah. So that's really positive. And I think overall, what we did see when we were studying these unemployment rates is there were actually what we were seeing was a K-shaped recovery. So we are seeing a trajectory of a lot of the industries were having their best year ever. And then the ones that were having a harder time were like hospitality and leisure and various other transportation, the bus systems, trains, planes, all of that. And that's coming back too. So we believe we're headed for a really, really good year. If we were to predict this year, we will not predict past that. And even this year, it's still, we're not even halfway through the year. But all indications with unemployment, the world opening up. And guess what people are doing right now?
Our spendings has increased. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only are they spending, I mean, they're spending the same amount almost. These
Practically
slides,
the same
Yeah.
as what they were before the pandemic.
this slide was actually April. So as we're seeing in May and June, even more spending. So we believe right now we may be back up to this prior to COVID, which if you can see the other pink bar here. So we can see we're right up again where we were even prior to COVID with the spending. So, and I think we're seeing that, are we not? Like, I know there's a lot of Amazon boxes showing up at our house, right?
Vacations being booked.
And what creates a perfect storm?
Mortgage rates still at all-time lows, hovering right around the 3%, even under that. So very exciting news for anyone who wants to borrow.
Yeah, we're gonna be hearing more about that from Danielle and Michael later, Supreme Lending. Okay, we just wanted to touch here as we're just sort of seeing a state of market. This slide is San Mateo County, and this reflects also our other counties like San Francisco, Santa Clara, Alameda County. We took San Mateo just to kind of give a quick snapshot of what we're seeing overall in the Bay Area. And I'd argue probably most of the country is seeing this, that the median prices of the homes, single family, have just been shooting up year over year. So you're looking at 2019, 2020, and 2021, all-time high in 2021. Condos and townhomes, this you can see in the final graph here, they've been dipping. Now we are seeing some recovery there. And they have been dipping about 5-6% year over year, where last year over year on houses is up 13-14% on average. So in San Mateo County, if you bought a house last year, you're up about 13-14% year over year. If you bought a condo, you're down a little. So this could also be an opportunity that we could see for first-time home buyers getting in while they're a little softer on that. We are seeing some recovery there.
And for those selling condos and townhomes, the good news here is that we are seeing an increase from 2019, which was also a very good real estate year for sellers.
Yep.
Now you're gonna have to admit.
Okay, you've got it.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on from single family and condo townhouses. So this graph is showing the 5-year trend just in April. So if you look at April every year and you go, what was happening April in 2016, 2017, 2018? Stacey, tell us what we're seeing.
Yeah, so we see a pretty good trend here, just kind of gradually going up for those first 4 years. There was a dip because that was
April.
when the pandemic
What was happening April last year?
had everything
Yeah.
shut down. And so that including real estate as well, quite a few transactions were at a halt. People looking was at a halt, people wanting to list was at a halt. And so that did make a pretty big impact, especially during that month.
But that 2020 graph was only April. It does not reflect the year. We finished really strong at the end of the year. We did have a handful of people that bought in March, April, and May.
And they
And
got good
some
deals.
pretty good deals. And honestly, we made some calls and I heard like some of our buyer agents being like, guess what? You can jump in right now and you don't have to compete with all those buyers 2 months ago. And they're like, well, I don't want to buy if no one else is buying. We're like, no, this is the
best
time you want to
to
buy. So there was a moment there in time where there was
Yeah.
some really, really good deals. It was 15% down.
But now look at where we're at
And then
for
we recovered
2021, April this year. Very impressive. It not only recovered everything it dropped, but then it increased substantially from the year before. So it just really took off from
Yeah.
where the trend was
And our,
already heading.
lender report, they're gonna be touching on appreciation a little bit, you know, when you want to be looking at what happens over time with your prices. So we dig in a little bit more. The average days on market, how's that looking?
Yeah, average days on market. This is pretty exciting. It also leads way into some of the other areas that our speakers are going to be talking about. For single family homes, it's an average of 21 days on market. Some of those homes, if not the majority of them, are only staying on the market long enough for their offer dates, about a week and a half to 2 weeks tops. And then they're selling right then, often with multiple offers. Condos and townhomes, not far behind at only 29 days.
Yeah, as much as we said, you know, condos and townhomes are taking a little bit of a hit. So they, on average, are 29 days. So it's priced right. It's still less than a month. So
And that's
still great market.
very evident to show how low the inventory really is when they're moving that quickly.
Yeah. It's just compared to single family, but those are off the chart. And
Our sales price ratio. So this is where the home is listed at versus what it sells for in the contract price. And you're looking on an average of 107% for the San Mateo County area. This is different county to county for different reasons, but this is a pretty good reflection of a lot of the Bay Area counties. And what sometimes we're seeing things even over 120%, but this is that average reflection of what's happening.
yeah, so 7% above the asking price.
So
That's
that
the 3
was
month.
$1 million house. That would be
$70,000.
$1 million.
Yeah, and we've seen some crazy, depending, there's teaser prices, and Richard's going to be, it's actually a good introduction for Richard because he's going to be touching more onto this point of this sell price ratio. What does it mean when you see one price out there, but there's an offer date of 10 or 14 days, and what's going on with that? Like it feels
like a current tactic.
It is, it does. So that
teaser price now is going to be
yeah, and as this transitions, it'll be interesting. But what this does say is we've been seeing this price increase, right? So if your neighbor sold a couple months ago, your house is probably worth more when you're on a trend like this.
Yeah. And then Andrew, thank you for sharing that. That really is a big part of what Richard's going to share. What's going on with this pricing? And he's going to mention some really helpful information for us now. Our awesome buyer agent, Richard Parham.
Yes. I'm going to raise this up just a tiny bit.
Raise it up.
Raise it up. All right. Yeah. So you're right here. All right. And you move it. You have to do 2 fingers.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, that was a lot of charts and graphs, I know, but we're gonna talk about why some of those are important. I have to do that so my head's not cut off. All right. So most people are concerned about, they're reluctant to pay over what they see the list price is. And that makes sense because we are programmed to see a price and pay that price. So we really need to talk about home pricing in the Bay Area. This is a lot of the same across the country, but it is very relevant in the Bay Area how things are priced. So there's transparent pricing, which is if you go to the grocery store, you go to the mall, you're in Bloomingdale's, you see your favorite pair of designer jeans, that tag on the jeans, you take that to the register, and that's what you're going to pay. Every once in a while, you get lucky and it was on sale, but it wasn't on the tag. But for the most part, you're going to pay what is on the tag, what it's labeled as, and that's transparent pricing. Non-transparent pricing is a little bit more like a flea market. You go and you see that $100 price tag on that table, and you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll offer 80, and maybe you'll get it for 80. But what if there's 10 people that all want that same table? Well, now that $100, it's not 80. Now you have 10 people. It's whoever wants to pay the highest. So maybe 110, 120. So that's the difference between transparent pricing and non-transparent pricing. As we've seen in the last couple of slides, in the Bay Area, we've seen an average of 100%, 107% of asking. So that's 7% over asking. And that's the average. So very often, if something's fixed up and ready to move in, turnkey, you're going to see 10, 15, upwards of 20% over the asking price that's going to go for. Why do we use non-transparent pricing in the Bay Area? Well, there's a few reasons. So you get a lot more eyes on it. More eyes on it piques more interest. More interest causes more offers to come in, possibly creates a bidding war and creates that competition. But really, mostly it lets the market decide what something is worth. So the property is listed, probably never was going to go for that price. It was going to go for higher than that most of the time. Every once in a while, it's mispriced and it goes lower. But for the most part in the Bay Area, we see, as you see that 170%, we're going to see it go over what the list price was. So that brings us to price versus value. So what is the difference between price versus value? Price is really the starting point of the negotiation. So the list price is just the start. It is to get the ball rolling, to start the conversation of what something's going to go for. Value is what someone feels the property is worth to them. So a buyer is going to look at amenities. If something has that perfect kitchen for them, that big backyard, that walk-in closet of their dreams, all of a sudden that's more important. Those things are important to them. A seller might have an emotional attachment to something. They've raised all their kids there, so they're worth it. They think it might be a little bit more than what someone else might. So it's really the price that a buyer will pay, but also the price a seller will sell. So I kind of like to use the analogy of baseball cards. So when you buy a pack of baseball cards that tops, 2021, that pack is what, maybe $5? I haven't bought baseball cards in a while, so I'm not really sure how much they cost anymore, probably $10. But you buy that pack of baseball cards for $10. You open up, you flip through those 10 cards, and there is a rare rookie card in there. Well, now,
It's me.
admit, Ken.
Perfect.
Admission.
Gotta admit, people. All right. So now that pack of baseball cards, if that rare rookie card, someone wants to pay $100 for it or $150 for it because they're a collector and it's worth that much to them, is that pack that you bought still worth $10, or is it now worth the $150 because of that rare card, because someone is willing to pay that? So that's a difference between price versus value. How is price value? If, whoever can mute their mic, Ken, if you can mute for us, please. So what's causing the prices and the values to go up in the Bay Area market? Well, that gets us into supply and demand. So supply and demand are the biggest factors when it comes to the increase in prices. So we're going to talk a little bit about the supply side first and then the demand side. So on the supply side, we're seeing historically low inventories, as you saw in one of those graphs before. So it's less than a month. For condos, it was 29 days. For single family homes, 21 days. So that's 3 weeks worth of inventory. What that means is if we stopped selling, if we ran out of inventory right now, if nothing new came on the market, it would take the market 21 days, so less than 1 month, to get rid of all the inventory that's there. So that is the lowest it's been almost in history, especially in the last 30 to 40 years. We haven't seen that low of inventory. One of the other things is new home starts. So new home builds, before the crash of 2007, we were seeing an average of 1.5 million new home builds every year in this country. Now, since then, it's been about 900,000, and that number has maintained kind of steady up and down a little bit, but right around that 900,000, and we never caught up to that 1.5 million. So that means all these new houses are not going to just fall from the sky and appear and create a glut of supply. We're still going to see that low supply because there's not a whole lot of new houses being built. We've already talked about the cost of materials. So 30%, you get 30% of lumber what you did a year ago. That means it's going to cost 3 times as much in lumber to build something. So even though they have the manpower and the labor and the ability, maybe even the area to build new homes, how fast do you think that's going to pick up when lumber is you're getting 30% of what you were before? So just that high cost of materials is going to keep those new home starts pretty low for the foreseeable future.
And we're way behind over the years.
And exactly. So we're behind over the years, and we're not going to catch up in a year.
Right.
It's going to take 2 to 3 years to even, if we wanted to catch up, just how long it takes to build a home. So it's not, again, all of a sudden, we're not going to see the supply fall from the sky and have a glut of supply. So we just don't see that happening. That kind of brings me into the moratorium on foreclosures, which is another supply issue. So the moratorium on foreclosures is basically the banks are not allowed to foreclose on homes that haven't paid their mortgage because of COVID. So a lot of people are feeling that as soon as that gets lifted, there's just going to be a glut of supply on the market because there's going to be a ton of foreclosures. The problem with that theory of thinking is that it is not like 2007 was. People have a buildup of equity in their home, and the banks have learned that they don't want to be homeowners. So, so it was a problem then, and they've made so it's not going to be a problem again. So even if that moratorium gets lifted, again, will there be foreclosures? Yes. Is it just going to be this rain from above of homes coming down on us? No, that's not going to happen. So that's the supply side. Then we move over to the demand side. Well, we've already talked historically low interest rates. When money is cheap, people can buy more stuff. So cheap interest rates means that they can afford more house. If they can afford more house, that's going to cause prices of the houses that they can afford to go up because more people can afford those homes. We have a new generation of home buyers. Millennials on average age right now are 32 years old. First-time home buyers on average are 31 years old. So you have the second half of the biggest generation since the baby boomer generation, all starting to be those first-time home buyers, all moving into that market. That brings a lot of people that want to buy a home. Plus you already have the move up and move down buyers as well. So it's just a ton of people that are looking for homes. Then you have COVID, the elephant in the room, really. So with COVID, people didn't want to be in the city anymore. They realized, you know what? I can pay a mortgage as much as I was paying rent in the city. I don't have to be in the office every day. I don't have to commute. I want more space. I need that second or third bedroom for an office. So you have a lot more desire for space and the ability to go to those outskirt areas and live somewhere else that you couldn't before because you needed to stay close to work. So COVID really, as it's ending, has taught people and these offices that, hey, we don't need to have our employees at work. They're just as productive working from home. So this is also something that the trend is going to stay at home employment as opposed to everybody come in the office. So this is a trend that's going to stay. So again, for the next 2, 3, 4 years, we're not going to see demand go down and we're not going to see supply go up. We're going to see at least about the same, which means prices are going to steadily go up because these things together create scarcity. Scarcity in the market is the biggest mover of prices. We are seeing prices go up because of how scarce supply is and how big demand is. So with all this being said, our buyer's agent Cosette is going to teach you how you as buyers can win in a scarcity market.
Good job.
All right. Thank you, Richard, and hello, everybody. So yes, I am another buyer specialist on the team. I see some of my clients here today. Welcome, everybody. So speaking of scarcity, I came across this meme the other day and felt like it related to the current situation with a lot of our clients. For any of you guys who are on the call who have been viewing homes in the last year, or for those of you who are just getting started, you can probably relate to this. As you can see in the image, we have the agent here on the right showing 2 people a house, and he's saying, or if you want something more expensive, I can show you this house again tomorrow. Who has felt that before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So in this last year, we've had some clients just reorient or how should I say this? Kind of decide what their top 5 are going to be and compromise in some areas. Some have decided to pull out of the market and do different things so they can work in this new market. So to help buyers, so our buyers who have been wanting to win, we see the value in buying now. We, this last quarter, have taken time with all of our clients to help them kind of discover what category of buyer they might be in. And we put these 3 categories in 3 different buckets: A buyers, B buyers, and C buyers. So for all of you on the call, I would love, as I go through this exercise, to think right now, what buyer are you? And then we'll talk about what kind of market we're in. So we're going to start with what an A buyer is. Excuse me, we're going to start with what a C buyer is. So Stacy, come up and can you give me an example of what a C buyer is? So tell me a little bit about your timeline and motivation for buying today in this market.
Yeah, Cosette, I've been looking for a couple years. It might take me another couple years. We're looking for a very specific home on the coast. It's our second home or vacation home. It has to be just right. And we'd really like a deal.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So that was a perfect example of a C buyer. There's somebody who doesn't need to buy. They have a unique priorities of what they want. They're happy with where they're at, but at the same time, they're going to be watching the market. So now let's learn about what a B buyer is. Hello, Micah.
Hi, Cosette.
Can you tell me a little bit about your timeline and motivation for buying in this market?
Well, you know, my wife and I, we have a lot of babies,
Mhm.
and so we need a bigger house.
All right.
You know, so we're actively looking. You know, we're looking around. We've got about 4 months left on our lease, but then we're gonna go month to month.
Okay.
So we've got some, we've got some time, but we really need to move.
Okay.
We're worried about spending too much, and
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. So your lease ends and you want to buy, but do you want to compete in this market?
No,
No.
not at
Okay.
all.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
So that's a good example of what we call a B buyer. There's somebody who has a timeline, they want to buy, they have a reason why they want to, but they don't want to feel like they're competing for a house. And then we have what we call our A buyers. Hello, Kat. Welcome to your buyer consultation.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your motivation and timeline for buying in this market?
Absolutely. I just got a job here on the coast. School starts in 2 months. I needed a house yesterday. I'm ready to come in all cash, waive my contingencies, and kick everyone's ace.
Wow. So Kat is going to do what it takes to get into a house. That is what we call an A buyer. It's somebody who needs to buy and will do whatever it takes to get it. So question out for the crowd or those of you on the call, what type of market do you think we're in right now?
A+.
We are in an A+ market right now. We have buyers who have been losing out for the last year, who have, some of them have lost out on 4 or 5+ offers. They're willing to go in non-contingent and do what it takes to buy the house. We've had some clients who initially had their top 5. They decided to compromise on maybe location or size or type, and then they were able to become an A buyer and beat out everybody else. So with that said, we see the value in buying now. We see that interest rates are low. For us buyers on the call, what do we need to do or what can we do to get in and beat out other A buyers in this market? Because we realize that most of the time we're going to be competing with those. Few quick things to become or prepare to be an A buyer. First off, with this, in the consultations, we would sit and talk to you first to make sure we understand what your wants and needs are so we can find you the right fit. Buying a house is a huge decision. You will have to move fast when you do it. But before that, going through the consultation, making sure you have your numbers figured out, your location, that's where we're really make sure we're careful in making sure we're setting up a win-win for you in this market. So when you're in the market, what are we going to do? First off, we're going to act really fast. So when we do find a house, if it doesn't have an offer date, or if we can find a pre-market or off-market, which we as your buyer agents are actively prospecting for those weekly, we will write preemptive offers when we can. And then with those preemptive offers, they're still going to be at a great price and they're still going to be really clean. So it entices the seller to take it. And then if that's a house that we can't or we do have to wait for an offer date, then we would prepare to come in as a non-contingent offer. So let me go through really quickly what a non-contingent offer is. Some of you probably already know what this is. When we say non-contingent, essentially we're saying that you as the buyer, when you submit your offer on that house, maybe you've seen it once or twice before, you're going to go in with 0 contingencies. You'll put in a 3% deposit within 3 business days. That gets locked in. And if you pull out of the deal at any point after that, the seller gets to keep your 3% deposit. So it's kind of a big deal and we want to make sure you're prepared to do it. The 4 main ones are sale of your current home. So if you have a current house to sell, you're waiving that contingency. So we're helping you get a bridge loan or maybe selling your house first and getting a longer rent back, or maybe finding a unique situation to make it work. Then there's property condition contingency. that is all of the investigations you do about the house itself, the physical aspect, but also the neighborhood, the location. We're helping you the whole week before the offer date, get all of those questions and concerns answered so you can waive that contingency. And then loan and appraisal, that is how you get your money. That's when you get your lender. So if you're not cash, then that is making sure that you're fully underwritten with your lender ahead of time. With an appraisal, you know ahead of time what an appraisal might come in at if you are plan on paying above what we believe an appraisal will come in at. So you can waive all those contingencies. And then speaking of loan and appraisals, we are going to bring up our preferred lenders, Danielle Pollock and Michael Haig. I cannot rave about them enough. These guys have been our preferred lenders for a long time. They get our clients fully underwritten. They work very quickly. They work evenings and weekends when needed. And they also, Michael Haig, who's here on the call as well, is one of the leading lenders in the US. Danielle is the regional manager of Supreme Lending. She's going to come up and speak in a minute. But these guys have helped so many of our clients beat out multiple offers due to coming in non-contingent and having the lender who gives the money actually call the listing agent ahead of time and confirm and verify that they're 100% certain they can lend to these clients. So without further ado, let's welcome Danielle.
Thanks, guys. Great information we've gotten today. So lots going on in the market. So let's talk about what's driving this market. So you heard supply, demand, scarcity. Oh my goodness. Oh, 2 fingers. Yeah.
You have to be in the
You gotta
middle
be
here.
aggressive with the 2
No,
fingers.
no, it's the mouse. The mouse is there now.
Mouse
so
is
you
there.
can-
Okay, perfect. All right, I got this, guys. All right, so let's talk about interest rates. So as you heard, interest rates are at a record low. So we're somewhere between 2.625 and 3 1/4, 3 1/8, depending on what product you're looking at. So still historically low. It is cheap to borrow money. So exactly like Richard said, it allows you to buy more house. So plain and simple. So we're off our historical lows that we saw during COVID, but still very cheap money to borrow. So that's causing a huge driver along with inflation. If you don't know what inflation is, just go to the gas station. You know that here. Yeah, so that tank of gas that a year ago was costing you $3. I think there's a gas station right over here. It's like $5 a gallon right now. So that's inflation. The cost of goods is going up. We just heard that building materials are 3x. So that's a big driver. So people are going crazy. So let's talk about the cost of waiting because it's a very real thing. So let's just look at a loan scenario today. You go out and you buy a house, $1.7 million in San Mateo County. So starter home, right? 2 bedroom, 1 bath. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. It's not that bad. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, it's not bad, guys. All right. So $1.7 million is your purchase price. You put down 20%. So that's $340,000. Let's assume that the rate goes up just a tinge, 3 1/4%. Your principal and interest payment is $59.19. With your taxes and your insurance, you're running just under $8,000. $78.90 is your mortgage payment. So that's assuming an interest rate today. Now let's assume we wait 6 months for that same house. So let's assume a 5% appreciation. Very normal in this market, right? 5% could be tomorrow. But let's assume 6 months, 5%. Now let's also assume in 6 months that the interest rate is going to go up about 1/4%. Very realistic as well. Interest rates are low. They're not going to stay this way forever. We know that. But 3.5 is still a great rate. So let's assume that the rate goes up 1/4 point, 5% appreciation. That $1.7 million house that you saw today, 6 months from now is 1.785. So it's gone up $85,000, right? So now your loan amount has moved from 1.360 to 1.427. Your down payment has increased by almost $20,000. Your monthly mortgage payment for that exact same house 6 months later, assuming just 1/4% interest rate increase, has moved from $59.19 to $64.10. So about a $500 a month increase. So your total cash to close has gone up by about $20,000, and that's what you're looking at. Now let's take another step back. Let's wait a year from now. Gone up on average 9.63%. So again, under 10%, still very realistic of what could happen in the market. That $1.7 million house today is now 1.863680, almost $1.9 million. Your mortgage went from 1.360 to 1.490. Now let's assume the rate goes up 0.5% from where it is today. Again, a year from now, not unrealistic. 3.75, still an incredibly low rate. When I bought my house, my rate was not 3.75, it was higher. So that is still an incredibly great rate, but in 0.5% more, now your monthly mortgage payment is over $9,000 for that exact same house that you could have bought today. So that's the cost of waiting. Now I know what you're saying, Danielle, there's no way this is sustainable. This market will not continue like this forever, right? What goes up must always, it must come down. Isn't that, the law of physics? I'm so sorry. I'm very challenged with this thing.
Wow.
I know, see, it's not
I'm
just
worthless.
me. It's not,
Make sure the mouse is.
if we can go, yep. Back two. That's, yeah, we'll go forward one and then I'll go back two. Okay. Cool. All right. So let's talk about, let's say the market assumes that we stay flat today. So a year from now, that $1.7 million house today is still 1.7 million 6 months from now. But let's assume that the interest rate goes up 0.5%. So what does that mean for you, right? So that monthly mortgage payment went from $78.90 to $82.70. You've also probably spent about another $60,000 on rent if you're waiting. That's going to cost you more over time as well. Now, let's assume that the market stays the same, but interest rates go up 1%. Now, I know what you're saying, Danielle, that's a huge jump, but it's 4.25%. Again, still below the historic rates. So that house today, even in a flat market, if the interest rates go up by 1%, your mortgage payments jumps to $86.61. So you can understand a little bit of the frenzy. So we talk about appreciation of, oh, I did it. Thank you. So we talk about appreciation of property. So not only has that cost you more rent, has that cost you more in money, but also you just saw that $1.7 million house is now 1.9 million. So you've lost out of that $200,000 in equity and your payments of time have gone up. So I always say that not owning property is hazardous to your wealth. And you like that? Yes, thank you. Thank you. So over time, by waiting just a couple of years, you could have lost over $527,000 worth of equity, payments, rents paid. So like I said, there is a reason why people are acting now.
Over how many years?
Over 5 years.
5 years.
Yep, based on today's appreciation.
1,000 years.
Yes, it's $500,000, exactly. So I will say this. Who you work with in this market truly does matter. Working with the Calder Group, working with professionals in this market who have relationships with other agents, who know this market, who know how to negotiate, who understand this market and the properties here, it makes a huge difference. So I highly recommend the Calder Group because they are just absolutely incredible with their clients, the service experience, and helping their clients get into properties. So I will tell you that. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael Watterson. He's our buyer's concierge. He is amazing, and he's going to give you more information. Yes, please ask a question. Yes.
What is historical?
Danielle?
You said this.
Danielle?
Hold on, Michael.
Someone else. Michael wants to-
Oh, Michael, I'm sorry, that's Michael Haig. I'm like, who?
From above.
Michael, there's a quick question, then we'll go to that. So
You might have to repeat the question.
Yes.
They might not-
yeah, so
Absolutely.
question is, what is the average?
Yeah,
historical?
absolutely. So the question what is the average historical low? It depends. So we've been very spoiled. So let's talk about millennials. All they know is the threes, right? That's all they know. If you talk to your parents and you ask them what their interest rate was, they'd probably tell you 16% when they bought their first house. So yeah. So has anyone, show of hands for homeowners, does anyone ever buy a house over 4%? Yeah.
Lots of them over 4%.
My first house in 96 was at 6.5%. And I put 20% down. I thought that was a great deal at 6.5% because my parents, their first house was 18%. So again, historical lows, believe it or not, over the last 40 years, the national average is actually over 6%. So we are what? Yes, exactly. So, obviously you've got the crazy, Carter era that was in the double digits. And then you have historical lows now that are sub 3. Yeah. So great question. Mr. Haig.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry I couldn't be there. I'm flying out here shortly to go to a wedding out of the area. But I did want to offer a couple of points that I think are really important to notice. One is about 6, 7, 8 months ago, as the market tightened up, we lost the ability to put less than 20% down. Since over the last couple of months, we now can put down 10%, 15% down. And the interest rates are very, very good. We're just doing one right now, $3 million purchase, 10% down, that interest rate was 3.5. So lower down payment means that you are using leverage to your highest and best use. If you put 10% down today and the market goes up 10%, what's that done to the value of your money coming in? So I think it's really, really important as you're starting to identify what kind of buyer you are, if you're an A or a B. We love talking to everybody. We'll spend the time, talk to people, and help them identify, can they buy now at a 10% down or a 15% down? And there's also one other thing I noticed is talking about, if you have a property to sell, we don't necessarily have to look at a bridge loan. There are lots of investors or lenders that we work with that allow you to sell the property after you buy if you don't need that equity. Bottom line is, love to talk to you. Myself and my team, we're here to help in any way that we can. So thank you very much.
Great information.
Thank
Yes.
you. Very good ads. Thank you. Thank you.
Micah, please take the
And
stage.
now we are introducing the most exciting part of our presentation.
You're not ready.
Oh,
Question for the lenders.
oh,
From
okay.
Teresa, what do buyers do if they cannot afford 10% down?
That's a great question. Could we hold that just for the final questions? Okay, hold on. And you guys bring these questions in because we're going to have about 10 minutes here in a minute for that's a really good question. That way you guys can think of the answer. Okay,
Nice.
very good. Who do we got here? Michael
Hello,
Watterson.
everyone. Yes. Who's ready for another drink?
Yeah, how about?
Or their first drink?
Yes.
Or several drinks? Oh, look at that beautiful group.
Oh, sorry.
Juliet is my hand. She's my hand model today.
Hold on. I can't even work my own computer. Hold
My
on.
hands are beautiful.
Hold on. You know what? I don't know how to work. Oh, wait, hold on. It has a little thing.
This is the entertainment portion.
Okay.
All right, we'll start here. All right, so you've heard a lot of information today. Hopefully you found it very useful. I know I did. And now the biggest and the most important thing to do is call the COLDA group. All right.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start working with you, just start working with our team and just sign on with us. We'll get to work for you right away. We're going to save you time and energy. All that searching for that perfect home, we can do all of that for you. It worked. Awesome. We have knowledge of inventory and past sold, so we can let you know what's going on in the market, let you know what's about to come on the market, and just help you find that perfect place. And we don't cost you a thing. Something that comes up a lot is people always, for some reason, think that with a buyer's agent that we charge you a fee. We don't. The actual fee is on the seller's end. So we don't cost you a dime. All right. Now, after you've made that call with us, you set up a buyer's consultation, we've discovered your wants and needs and what you're looking for. Then it's time to obtain financial pre-approval. And that's when, who'd you call? Supreme Lending. I mean, they're amazing. They're ready to speak to you 24 hours a day. I know if you call Michael Haig, he'll pick up at 12 a.m. Won't you, Michael? Yeah. Wow. Okay. He gave it. All right. He gave a thumbs up. He's good to go. All right. There goes. Yeah. He's typing his number in the chat as we speak. Guys, yeah, they're going to talk to you about everything that you need to know and how to win and get competitive in this strong market. They're going to talk to you about your down payment, which we briefly touched on. Obviously, how to improve your credit score if that's something you need, or where you're sitting at, and your DTI, which is your debt to income ratio, which they will discuss in further detail with you on a phone call. All right. And how do we help you win? Well, we identify properties quickly that meet your needs, including pre-market. If you're interested in a home that has an ocean view, do you know of an ocean view home that's not on the market? Well, we do. So that's a good reason to call us. Expert negotiation skills and networking database. I mean, these people are amazing. I love working with them. There's nothing they can't solve for you or no one they can't get you in touch with. And we have a skilled team of transaction professionals to help you close quickly and effectively. We just are about to close on a property in Tiburon that actually we won that offer because of Madam Stephanie here, because her offer was so clean. So those are the kinds of things we can do for you. And now it doesn't work. Do, 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 do. All right, hold on. There we go. Did I miss one? No. We're good. All right, guys, I'm done. We're ready for the Q&A portion of this.
Awesome, thank you. You guys stay on for a few more minutes because we actually are gonna have drawings in a minute. I'm gonna stop sharing.
So there is a
And-
question in the room from Jonathan.
All right, Judy, can you come up?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
absolutely.
Okay.
So can you go to-
Oh yeah, let's go to the chat box. That's a very good idea. Okay.
Fantastic. So Jonathan, we have a question from Jonathan. Have appraisals kept up with the extremely high offers, 110, 115%, et cetera?
That is a great question.
That's
Was
a
that gonna
really
jump-
good
'cause that's gonna
question.
jump
Yeah,
up.
come on in.
And I can answer that. As we are getting appraisals back, they are coming in for the most part at the contract price. So if you feel like it's listed at some number and you're offering something above, the appraisal is currently matching that contract price. So if we're always, and that's where the buyer's agents help make sure that we are really reviewing and looking at the comps so that the appraisals will come in. They're doing a great job of that.
Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna make a quick comment then because that's gonna jump in on this too. Just so everybody knows, when an appraiser goes out to appraise a property in this circumstance, when there's a loan, they do know the asking price, obviously, everybody knows that on the MLS, but they actually know the contract price. So they're the eyes of the bank to basically say, yes, you're gonna loan this amount, which might be a 200 or 300 above the asking price. And they know the number they need to get on that appraisal. So most of the appraisals will come back right at the asking price, as long as they can support and bracket the value. Now, do they always come in? And Michael, I agree most of the time. Now, we will have occasions, which is one of the reasons we're waiving out. So why don't you talk about that? Because I think we have seen a couple,
Yeah.
have we not?
Yeah, yes, Jonathan, overall, agree with Michael. Most of them are coming in at contract price. The appraisers know what's going on. They know that we'll usually tell them we competed with 8 offers on this property, and that also what drove the price. There have been a few cases where they've come in below, and when they did come in below, we, with our buyers, and Jonathan, I know we've had these conversations before, we've written before, we've talked about it on a case-by-case basis on whether we think. There was one recently that came in 50,000 below asking. We, as our buyers and the listing agents, we all knew it would come in below. We were willing to pay above. We had a contingency in there where it had to appraise at a certain value or we could pull out of the deal. But it came in above that rate. We ended up still going through with it. So, and that was a very unique property. We're willing to pay above an appraisal. There was one other one that came in, and that was also a very unique situation. We knew ahead of time it might come in below due to the house being in a flood zone and different factors. So hopefully that helps. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, every situation can be a little different, but in general, yeah. All right, any other questions?
I'm gonna add one thing to that.
Yeah, Stacy's gonna add on that too.
Yeah, there's also something else that we do as agents is we come armed and we meet the appraisal or meet the appraiser, and we have the pending sales, what those contract prices are, or at least a very close range to what they are from the agents on those situations. And that helps tremendously time and time again. And then if we ever get a situation where it seems as though the appraisal came in where it shouldn't have, that is something that agents and lenders will dispute, and there's a process for that. And as long as we can show with numbers what we're talking about and why we think that it should be higher, that can have a very good impact on the end result, and it can often get redone for a higher amount.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because generally appraisers will talk, we will have conversations, and they do have to mark on the appraisal whether we're in a stable market or a declining or increasing market. And that's something that does play into, into that. And sometimes buyers go in knowing there's not a whole lot of comps for that particular house too. So that plays in. You want to say something else?
No, I was just gonna agree with Stacy. On the few that came in below for me, we rebutted them and got them back up. It just took a few extra days.
Because you're a rock star.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much. Yeah.
Actually, all the agents.
Okay, there's gonna be more questions.
We don't have any more questions. What we do happen to have though in the room is one of our very recent buyers. So we're
Oh, very nice.
excited.
Welcome. Guys, this is the room. So we miss all of you guys.
So you don't have to take our word for us, right?
Tell us who are,
You've been here and
will you
you've been
say
hearing
hello?
us talk about what is it that we do for you and some of our amazing lenders that we work with. But if you want to really hear from our clients, what we do and how we do
Congratulations.
that, I'd love to just introduce Danielle Aronson and Drew, just to talk just briefly. They're totally not scripted, but what's been your experience in terms of working with us, and you can be real straight.
Yes, no, I appreciate it. Nothing more less than that. So hi everyone, my name is Danielle Aronson, my husband Drew. We had the pleasure to work with the Colder Group and Michael Hay actually. And honestly, from the beginning, it was an excellent experience from the start to finish. Working with Michael, he was very communicative, very upfront, very clear, all the way to working with Richard and Stacy. And honestly, the communication was very clear. The steps were very clear. And the process that we had no idea as first-time home buyers was just, I would say, effortless. You know, and we felt like we are in really great hands. And I will also commend Judy, who from day one said, you need a grade A team. You need the right team of professionals and experts. And honestly, we've been just super pleased with it and went to close last Friday.
Very good. Thank you for that. That was very, very kind.
We do happen to have.
We have a drawing.
We do.
Wait, let's see.
We
Okay,
happen to
3 or
have
4
them.
more minutes. You guys have a chance for questions. If not, you please give us a call. We're happy each. You know, it seems like in the front lines here, we need to pay attention to what's happening week by week and day by day. So feel free to call us anytime, and we'll tell you what we're seeing out there and help interpret the market. Jump in. Okay,
We happen to have the first.
Come over here, Judy.
winner.
Okay, so yeah, so we have 2 gift certificates.
We actually have 2 gift certificates. You actually have one more. But the very first gift certificate is a $75 gift certificate to Sam's.
Woohoo!
Woo! So chosen randomly, thank you, is Jonathan Morgan.
Jonathan Morgan. Let's make sure he's still on. Unmute if you're still on there. I might not find you.
Yes, exactly. You have to be present.
Otherwise, we are
thank you.
going out. Oh, yep, there he is. Okay,
Nice. Okay.
good. We'll get that for
$75
you.
to Jonathan Morgan.
You're gonna love Sam's.
That's right. Okay. Fantastic winner number 2 to one of my favorite restaurants. Both of these are my favorite restaurants, so you can't go wrong. Is It's Italia, and that is Caroline. So Caroline, you look like you're still on. Are
Oh,
you
let's
still here with us?
see. Yes. Please unmute. Say hello,
Yeah, please
Caroline.
unmute
We
and
need to
say
make sure
hello,
you actually are
Caroline.
still there.
Otherwise.
All right. Well, she looks. Oh, there she is. Yes. Caroline, you won a gift certificate. She just tried unmuting, but I see her there.
To It's Italia. And
Very
then we
nice.
have one more. We have a $50 gift certificate to Sam's.
All right.
Amazingly beautiful. And that goes to Connor Fields.
Connor,
are you
let's
still
hope
on?
you're still there. Connor, unmute if you're there. I'm looking for your name.
Email.
Otherwise, we're gonna draw again.
Yeah. If they're
Anybody
not
seeing? Hold on,
there-
let me go to the next page here.
If you're not there, then I need one more.
I'm thinking, Derek, well, let's go back to our, those in the back room here. Sorry, Connor is not still on. So Derek, can you get us somebody else?
Number
This
12.
is the guy you want to know on his random.
10.
Ken.
Ken.
Ken, are you there?
Ken.
That's
Woo,
Ken. All right.
Thank you to our lucky winners.
All right. Thank you all so much. And yes, please feel free to reach out. I wish you were here with us in the office, but we appreciate that you guys were here, and we're excited, at least for this event, that we were able to do an element of a hybrid in this. So this was really fun. And I want to thank you all for being here with us. Thank you very much. And have
Thank
a
you,
great
Judy.
evening.
It was very helpful. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.